It is the afternoon of November 1st. Best time of the year. I've actually already encountered 5 bucks. It took forever to set up because I was having to literally stop because there was deer within bow range the entire time. I was in here early tonight too. I mean, it's only 4 o'clock and I probably had been in the stand for an hour and a half. So the deer are definitely moving tonight and I really like this spot. It is the morning of November 5th, and what a beautiful morning it is. We haven't seen a ton of rut activity yet, but all it takes is that one light switch to go off.
There goes attention.
Well, it's right at 9 o'clock right now, and it's been a little bit since I did an update. But the reason behind that is because we've been covered up in deer for like the last hour or so. We really had some excitement, after I talked about that buck Vader, getting him on trail camera. We had a brief encounter with him. I did the snort wheeze and grunted at him a few times, so he was interested, but he just couldn't put anything with it. And obviously a deer I'd be happy to wrap my tag around, especially now that I know that he's alive. I was thinking this whole time that he was dead, but good to see that he's still alive.
Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cuddyback, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, Wasp Archery, and Realtree.
Good morning and welcome to Midwest Whitetail Heartland Show. It's the morning of November 9th and I'm all set up for this morning's hunt. I was pretty anxious to get back into the tree this morning after what was a really rough hunt last night. We saw a lot of deer and I actually had an opportunity at a hitless buck and unfortunately wasn't able to make it happen, but I'm back in the tree this morning and it is really good conditions this morning, low 30s. Kind of a unique wind though, it's southwest and it's going to switch directly to west. And that kind of afforded me the opportunity of sitting right on the edge of this big ridge line. And kind of what I'm banking on is that these bucks are going to continue to cruise this ridge and just checking in this bedding area for does. This is a really aggressive move this morning, but this is the time of the year to be aggressive. So, like I said, I was anxious to get in the tree this morning after last night's hunt, but it's part of hunting. There's going to be lots of highs and lots of lows, so that's what I love about it. But it's good to be back in the tree. It's been a pretty slow hunt so far. I've seen probably 4 or 5 does and a couple button bucks. Usually the late morning movement's best in this area, so I'm going to hang tight as long as I can today. Sun's up and shining and it feels really good. It's supposed to get in the mid-50s today, so that temperature's going to keep climbing and it'll be nice to warm up a little bit too. That was crazy, guys. Oh man. It's like 10:45 right now. And it's been a super slow hunt. And I literally just texted my wife and said, hey, super slow hunt, I'm gonna tear down, type of thing, get out of here. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I told myself, like, typically the first thing I do when I tear down is I take my release off my hand, and then I get my bow all situated. And for whatever reason, I just told myself today, hey, just leave your bow set up just in case. I literally had the camera tore down, and all that was left up was the tree arm. And I looked down the hill, and I saw a doe, and I was like, okay, that's fine, type of thing. I'll just let her work her way through. And there's a big mature buck right behind her. I don't even know that I know what deer that is, but he is a big brute. He's a big bodied deer, and he came in, and I mean, they were right there. Not easy thing to do by yourself, but man, that is a big buck, and I think I smoked him. So it's been a long season, and that's how quickly your season can change right there. It's just like that short, quick, just like snap of the fingers, and it just happened just like that. Well, we just got up to the arrow, and it looks really good. It was a clean pass through all the way through, so I imagine we're gonna have a pretty good blood trail, and hopefully in just a short amount of time we're gonna be wrapping our hands around that big brute. That up. Got bubbles in it. You can see the bubbles. Yeah, there he is. Man, what a back job this is. He is a big old brute. Well, this buck is a great example of how quickly your season can change. Nolan and I, we had a really great hunt last night, and I actually had an opportunity at one of my hit list bucks, and unfortunately we weren't able to make it happen last night. But Nolan and I were talking in the tree, and we just seemed like we had a string of bad luck for quite a while. And we were having some really good hunts, some good encounters, seeing a lot of deer, but just not a lot of mature bucks. And we finally made it happen this morning. Nolan and I took that rutcation this week, and inevitably, life always throws you curveballs. I know that he had stuff going on in his personal life, and so did I, with work and stuff like that too. But when I saw this big mature buck with his giant body come into bow range this morning, I was super excited. And it was a unique track. It really, I was getting nervous for a little while. I was confident in the shot, but he kept bedding down and getting up, and I was wondering if we were bumping him because the wind was actually at our back when we were tracking him. But it ended with a great resolution to it, and wrapping my hands around this Iowa buck.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Heartland Show. Today it is the afternoon of November 11th, and first and foremost, before we get into the deer hunting, I just want to take a second to say thanks to all the vets out there on this Veterans Day. I know myself and a lot of all the rest of the staff really appreciates everything you guys do for our country and for us. So definitely special thanks to you guys on this day. But as far as the hunting does go, since the last time you saw me, we were in this blind on October 30th, and we had a great hunt and got into Javi Baez and Dirty Mike. But since then, there's definitely been a lot of hunts and a lot of awesome encounters that have taken place this past week. So this hunt kind of sets up, because it's only about 1:30 right now. I just want to take a second to kind of look back over the last week and some of the encounters we've had, and bring that to you guys. So our first hunt of the rutcation kind of kicked off on the morning of November 2nd. We were sitting there all set up, and about right at first light, we started to hear bucks fighting, and the CRP is a big CRP field, and we could hear bucks fighting, not too far from us in the tall grass, and it just sounded like heavy horns. And sure enough, about 5 minutes later, Shredder steps out, and we had an awesome encounter with him. So Shredder came in, and as you guys saw, he worked in. He was only at about 42 yards when he hit that scrape, but we couldn't get him to commit any closer than that. But a little update on Shredder since then. He actually was found dead yesterday morning. My neighbor to the south, where we had the encounter with him, found him in his front yard dead, and looked like he got hit by a car. So, hate to see a deer go like that. A deer that I got that much history with. It's one thing if they're hunted by another hunter and taken, but to see him get hit by a car was kind of rough to see him go out like that. But the next encounter that we had was came on the afternoon of the 3rd, November 3rd. So I decided to take Emma out that night to the hard-shell redneck, and I just wanted her to get to experience some rut action. She's always gone on some early season hunts with me and late season, but she's never really got to experience that. And as soon as we climbed in that blind, we were covered up with deer early. We had some young bucks come in, and they were sparring in the plot. As the night went on, we were sitting there, and probably the last 45 minutes of the night, this doe walks into the plot, and what was behind her just I definitely wasn't expecting. Yeah, Emma saw him first. We saw that doe go through the plot, and Emma was telling me that she could see a deer with big ears behind that doe, and I looked and I didn't see anything. He didn't give me much time to get the camera and my bow and everything, but definitely an encounter that I will never forget. And like I said, the first of many with that deer. So then the toughest encounter yet came on November 7th. Definitely one of my favorite days of the year, and I know you longtime viewers, you guys hear Bill talk about it all the time, but it had been kind of a slow morning, and this young buck came down from my main property and came into us, and I called him right down to us, and as we were watching him work in, Brad said big buck, and I looked down the lane, and about 60 yards, and I could just see tines. Didn't take me long to realize again it was our 3rd encounter with that same 10-pointer that we had encountered on the night of the 3rd and the 5th.
Meh, meh.
So looking back at that footage and just kind of thinking, replaying that shot in my head over and over again, I really think, as you guys heard, I was trying to stop that deer. He worked perfect, came right into the shooting lane that I wanted him to, and he was just so fired up. I think between how aggressive I called at him and that other buck being there, it really just fired him up. So as he came through that shooting lane, I couldn't get him to stop, and I think when he finally stopped, I just rushed it, which happens. You don't love it, but nonetheless, a great encounter, and one that we added to the list of good encounters that we were having. So best news about that miss is, we didn't wound that deer, and he's still out there to hunt. So that story definitely isn't over with that deer, I don't think. That's gonna wrap up, getting you guys caught up to speed on the hunting that took place this last week. But tonight's shaping up pretty good. So the hope is Javi Baez. Every time we hunt this farm, Javi will be the #1 target. Hopefully that doe brings Javi down here, but we're off to a good start tonight. He ain't coming here without that doe. There he is, bumping this way, Don't go to that corn. While we're sitting here doing this interview, getting you guys all caught up to speed on how the vacation's been going and all the encounters that we've been having. And I saw does running on this hill, so we kind of stopped, and you know, at 100 yards through the timber, I could see tines, and we got on him. Brad actually got some film, but sure enough, Javi, we were in here for Javi, and we just watched him for about 15 minutes just to kind of tend this doe. That's the first time we've seen him on the hoof since the 30th, the last time, one of the last times we were in this blind. So, you know, we got this advantage of the 4 inches of snow we got last night, so we can see really far into this timber. So hopefully we can keep tabs on him, and she makes her way down here to feed tonight, and he follows right in. But man, that's exciting.
Welcome to Midwest Whitetail, the Heartland region. It is November 13th, and Heath and I are headed in over here by the creek on the edge of some cover. Hopefully catch some of these bucks cruising through there. A lot of them are locked down now, so they're tailing behind the does pretty good. But we're having a tough time getting on a mature one for some reason. I don't know what the deal is. Got lots of photos, lots of bucks, but we just can't find one that's mature enough to shoot that's actually within range. Saw one last night, but that was driving in. So we'll go down here and switch it up a little. Got a southwest wind. It's going to switch straight out of the west, so it'll be perfect for down in here. They pretty much bed all around here, so hopefully we'll catch a buck that's either cruising or following a doe in or something like that. So we're going to finish getting ready here, and then we're going to head on in. Smoked him. Good boy. Didn't have long to think about that when he came right out over here. We heard him crash right down in here, so he didn't go 60 yards. All right. We doe just ran out of here behind us, but we reviewed the footage. The shot was good. Heath was on him. The cam was running, so we're all good. We've already got blood here. I know just about where he ended up. They like to run through there. It's a good open spot, but he headed towards the creek. But he didn't make it very far in here. The wind's blowing out of the northwest. We can already smell him. He stinks. He's rutted up, but we're going to go ahead and trail him and track him in here and see if we can't go recover him. Oh yeah, I know him. I know him. Whew. Hands on some horn. Yeah, buddy. That's that guy that came in the other day when we weren't around. All right, well, it's November 13th, and we got the job done. He's got to film his first deer on camera, and we were kind of wandering there for a little while. We've been hunting hard in the past month, and it's just been tough. We didn't have very much time to look at this guy on the walk. You know, when he was walking in and everything, I done a rattling sequence, and he came in within what, 15 minutes of that, and boy, he was on a mission. But I got him stopped. I didn't think I was going to get him stopped, but I finally got him stopped, and when I did, I put it right in the pump house, I believe. So, finally, November 13th, job's done.